Good evening, everybody. It's Sunday night, 7 o'clock, WOSFL Weekly. I'm Johnny Bailey, back as always, and delighted to be joined by PG, my fortnightly, my bi-weekly partner. How are you, mate? You right?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Good. A wee win for Yoker yesterday, so in a good
And
mood.
a good win at that.
It was. It was a decent win. That's 5 wins and 2 draws for the last 7.
Good, good. Well, don't worry, folks. We're not going to be talking about Yoker all the time. So don't worry. As much as PG would probably want us to, we're going to resist the urge. But it's good to have you with us. We good show last week with Barry. I don't know if you managed to catch it, talking about the goings on at BSC.
I haven't. It's maybe something
Cheers,
when
boss.
we get to them, we can talk about it a wee bit because I'm quite interested in what's happening there. Obviously, when the chat they might be separating for the club, so it's quite interesting.
Aye, as it's to be honest, it's a sin, man. What's going on? But again, Barry told me some stuff off air that he couldn't tell on air as well, which I'll probably have to tell you off air as well, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? But what he could divulge on air was still really, really interesting. And like I said, it's a sin the way things have kind of ironed out. But as always, if you are watching us, thanks for joining in. Get in touch with us in the comments section. Any questions or comments about your team's results at the weekend? Couple of social media talking points from the weekend as well, PG, which we'll come on to in due course as well. So we got a good laugh at that. Just a reminder, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button, and if you can do it in both streams, if you like, that would be really helpful as well, because we think they count as separate, don't they, for the numbers?
We think so. We hope so. Because it makes them a lot better if they're.
It either means the views for the last couple of weeks have been really good or really rubbish. Do you know what I mean? So it's the old Reno Gattuso meme, isn't it? Sometimes good, sometimes shit. You know that. So, so if you can hit the like button, subscribe to the Pyramid Promotions channel, and
I've just realised, Johnny, this is going to go on the radio, so I'm going to need to apologise for Johnny's use of that word there.
It's the first swear word I've used in the whole time I've been.
I know, and it's only the third show we're going to have on the radio. So if anybody who wants to catch this back up, if you're watching it live and you want to have a wee listen back, it can also be found on East End Community Radio on a Tuesday night as well.
Brilliant. And if you're listening in audio, again, please download the episode, rate and review on your podcast networks. We are sponsored by Roxburgh Insurance Brokers for your insurance needs. GLA chauffeurs will set you up with any executive travel that you might need. And, of course, Gary at VSN will get your team kitted out with some bespoke quality kit as well. And I am absolutely roasting in this wee room. So this is like my wee office. We've got like 2 bedrooms and a box room, if you like. So that I've made this into like my wee office. And the tumble dryer's in here. And the tumble dryer was on just before I came in, and I swear to God, it's like a sauna in here. So if I start sweating, I'm not going unwell. I'm just sitting right next to the tumble dryer, which is burning a hole in me as we speak. Right, PG, I'm going to break from president here. Okay. I'm going to talk about the cups first.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good to me. Get them out of the way.
Because there's a couple of interesting talking points within the cups. We'll start with the kind of the less exciting talking point, if you like, which was Auchinleck beating Kirk and Tillich Rob Roy. Now Ayrshire Radio, we actually had one of our reporters, Evan, on site, on location.
I said,
very nice guy. About you, but Evan was up there and he spoke to a couple of players, and Alan McCluskey spoke to us as well. So I think my general feeling was, obviously last week they rotated the squad a wee bit last week. Didn't quite work for them, but see the impression I was got. They're fed up talking about a Celtic game now. They're sick to the back teeth yet. Do you know what I mean? They just want to. It's done. Can we stop mentioning it in every interview that we have about anything to do with football? So I think it was really important, especially in a competition that means so much to Auchinleck, as we know, that they managed to get through to the next round. But I think two late goals, I think it was pretty closer than the 3-0 scoreline may suggest.
See, to be honest, I'd say, obviously, with the late goals, it makes it seem a bit more of a result than it is. But encouragement for Rob Roy, because they've picked up a wee bit recently, and that shows that they've been able to push a good side a bit further. But for the Talbot, it's another one where they just keep going. And obviously, we'll go on to Troon when we're talking about the league's action. But that'll be something that they'll be really pleased with. So it's been a good day all round for the Talbot, and sometimes you need to just go and win these games and get in the next round.
Yep, and in the other quarter-final that was played, obviously Largs and Johnston Burroughs games were off, but Pollock drew one each at home to Buckhaven Hearts and then lost 3-2 on penalties. I don't know anything about Buckhaven Hearts, as you can probably imagine, but I've got a feeling they'll be disappointed with that.
I'm going to say, without, again, I'll apologise. I've not spoke to Josh or anything about yesterday, but that's not a game that Pollock should be losing. A Pollock team who are in good form as well. So definitely not a game they should be losing. I'll be bitterly disappointed with that. But I suppose we could use the old adage where it's like, oh, well, they're out of the cup. Does it mean they can just solely focus on trying to get into the top 8 in the Premier League and then getting themselves promoted? But it's not a great result at all, I think. Obviously, I don't know if we're going to touch on it now or Max's post on Facebook, I believe it was.
Well, I think it was in response to the first post that I sent. So I get sent a post from someone who will remain nameless because it's from a private social media group, so I don't want to stick MD in. And it was basically somebody said, should the club offer the manager a new contract? And judging by Max's response, is this a committee member that's posed this question to the support?
So I'll read it out for people who... You happy with me to do that?
I go for it.
Right, so the comment has been, should the club offer the manager a new comment? The reply is, I feel I have to reply to this, as I wouldn't be true to myself if I didn't. To think this is a supposed committee member who has put this up lacks class when you're supposedly in a respectable position within the club. I've always held my position at Pollock with the integrity that it deserves and carried professionalism throughout. We live in a culture where being a football manager can be a horrible, lonely place. I felt like that other managers in many occasions also. Yesterday was massively disappointing to dominate a game without being at our best, losing a bizarre penalty and losing the shootout. It's so tough for everyone connected to the club. Unfortunately, at times, that's football. It can be cruel. People like to have an opinion after the event. That's fine, but an easy option. So many good Pollock fans, that a small minority are very toxic towards players and staff historically. It's a historical thing, but speaking to other managers, Pollock haven't got a big budget anymore and have had to cut their cloth accordingly, which year on year has made the job difficult. Rebuilding a full squad isn't easy, but we give it the best effort, and I think our squad has improved massively since the start of the season. So that's Max's reply to potentially a committee member. And to be honest, I'd be leaning towards what Max is saying there. I think that's, if that is a committee member saying that, particularly, he's entitled to his opinion, like completely entitled to his opinion. But if he's saying it on a semi-public forum and people know that he's a committee member and also that Max is on it, probably not the best look in the world, to be honest. And I think Max is kind of, you're going to say something back, aren't you?
Oh, it's madness. Like, I don't understand the motivation. Like, even if he is a committee member, so say you are a member of the Pollock committee and you're thinking about whether Maxie deserves to get another contract, whether he does or he doesn't, it's not for us to say, but you have those conversations with your fellow committee members. And if you want to canvass an opinion with the supporters, then you do that at games or something like that, and you have a wee chat and things like that. And you know what I mean? You say, what's your thoughts on the season? What's your thoughts on the manager? You know what I mean? All these kind of things. You have an AGM at the start of the season where fans can come along, at the end of the season, where fans can come along and voice their opinion, and then you can make a decision from there. To do something like that on social media as well, which is notoriously one of the most toxic environments in the world for absolutely anything. You know what I mean? If I was to put something on X tonight saying the sky's blue, I'd have 100 replies saying no, it's green. Do you know what I mean? Just it's that kind of place. So, and you can say it's a closed group and all that kind of thing, but it doesn't matter. Like it's just see, for a team like Pollock that's supposedly that is one of the biggest clubs at this level, supposedly one of the old ladies of junior football, if you like, you know, it's not a good look for them, in my opinion. And I think Maxi, I would probably not have engaged with it, but I can understand why he would. That's just my personality.
I would have been inclined.
I'd have been.
I assume Max will speak to the person in person as well, but I would be inclined not to reply. And don't get me wrong, Max's reply is like it's quite professional. It's no like
he's not calling him any names or
getting
aggressive or anything.
And see the thing, I see the committee member. I'm not saying this is what he's doing, but if it was like like you said, canvassing to see about whether you would keep Maxi in a job or whatever, like you said, you would not be putting it in a place that when it's out there, it cannot come back. Like it's gone. You can't hide for it. And if you were going about speaking to people and asking them what they thought about things, it might get back. But at the same time, it's no as bad a look as what was put on social media yesterday.
And it's Cycling Chainsaw Chat makes a good point there. Just saying it's dangerous game letting fans decide things like that when they don't have the whole story as well. That's the other side of it. Fans they just see the results on the pitch and have their expectations set accordingly. They don't know that. They don't know what's going on behind the scenes in terms of like budgets and chats and talks and expectations and KPIs, if you like to use a business term. They don't have all that information, so they just fans will make a decision with their hearts rather than their heads. And that's why we love them, because they come to the games and they pay their money, but they shouldn't really be involved in decisions like that. I don't think that's what a committee's for.
I find it a strange one. I know, and
they're sitting 8th in the league, so they're sitting.
I know that's kind of where I was going. So Midtown Sheriff said 1965 was the last time a North club were in the semis. Aberdeen Rosemount lost to eventual winners Linlithgow Rose. So it's a massive achievement for them. But see, to me, that is a bad result for Pollock yesterday. But things have been picking up. So I don't get the whole. See, if they had lost the previous 2 or 3 games, then you're maybe in a position where there's a lot of grumblings about it not being good enough. The form has been pretty decent recently. They've picked up quite a few points and they've had decent results. So I'm not, again, this committee member might have just been asking a general question for a consensus. There's no to get Max out, but it's a bit odd. It's more heart ruling the head at that, potentially, at that time.
Aye. They've won the last 4 league games in a bounce.
Aye, that's like great form. And they've put themselves in a position where promotion is a real possibility now.
Aye. And Craig's just saying there, the role of committee is difficult because you're a fan, but you need to try and stay neutral and stay balanced, which I do get. It's difficult. And you need to keep things in-house, which I think is really important as well. Because if you're right, the fans don't need to know everything that's going on unless there's severe extenuating circumstances. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this develops over the next couple of weeks, but do you ever see Maxie just saying that I'm not putting up with this, I'm away?
I don't know.
I don't personally, and I don't know Maxie. I know him to say hello to, but I don't know him. What
I would say is there's obviously mitigating circumstances for Pollock being where they are, because like he mentions in his reply, and we know it's well known that the budget has been cut year on year, basically his whole time, so he's definitely fighting an uphill battle. Would I say that Pollock have done a good enough job in the last couple of years? Probably no. But as a Cycling Chainsaw chap has put on, you'd attain at the start of the season, Pollock making the top 8 in the quarters of the Scottish. In my opinion, if Pollock get promoted, it's been a very successful season and they're well in the hunt for that. So I just don't think I think Maxi maybe knows after this one he might not get a job as big as Pollock again, because let's be honest, there's no really many that are as big as Pollock. So is he willing to go and stick it out and keep it going? I think he would, definitely. I think he would.
And none of us, I don't think any of us picked Pollock to finish in the top 8, did we?
I did.
Oh, did you?
All right, I did, aye.
All right, good for you.
I might be wrong.
I know, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of weeks. And just a wee correction there, Talbot won 2-0, no 3-0, so fair play.
Yeah,
but I
think silly move.
And then they scored very late on. I think Andy Kerr scored a late goal to kind of seal the win. Okay, and the other cups, Muirkirk, the Giant Killers, do it again, taking another Premier League scalp by beating Shotts Bonaccord 4-2 in the West. With a couple of comments saying that there was a couple of fights, 3 fights happening in Muirkirk and Shotts, and the Shotts keeper rugby tackled Ross. I'm assuming he's meaning Ross, the manager, which sounds interesting. But great. Aside from all that, because I don't like to comment on that kind of stuff because we don't see it, so we can't really make up our opinion. But great result on paper, great result from your cut. Again, that's what Auchinleck, Rutherglen, Haddington, if you count that, do you know what I mean? And now Shotts. Unbelievable cup team.
Like I said a few weeks ago when I was on, when they beat us, really impressed me. I thought they were a good side. Not as young as I had once thought. A good bit of experience in the team, mixed with good young players, and I think that the cup success might hinder them in the league, which I hope it doesn't, because I like Ross, he's a nice guy. He's built a good team there. I just hope they can continue on because it's been a great spell for Muirkirk. Arguably,
somebody mentioned that last week. Whether that is going to have an effect on them. And I see they go to Benburb on Tuesday. So
a team they can beat. Ben's I know picked up a bit.
Also a team that could beat them. You know, Benburb had a really good result against Liverpool Meadow last weekend. So it's a tough game on a Tuesday night.
Definitely is, and I suppose travelling's not really an issue since it's only about 250 yards up the road from where they train normally during the week, so it's all right that way. But no, it's been a great spell for them. Arguably the best Muirkirk team ever, which I think is really commendable. Long may it continue because I think it's good to see the club doing well.
I know, and they play did you see the semi-final draw with the confusion with the numbers and stuff like that? So they'd put the rang numbers on the graphic. So when they were drawing the teams out, so there was a wee bit of confusion. John Hughes, the Vela Clyde manager, was kind of questioning it and stuff like that. And then there's been an explanation sent out to the clubs, which didn't really make sense because they said that University of Stirling were last instead of third, because usually they do it alphabetically. But they said they were last instead of third because they didn't play to Sunday, but that doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, Vela Clyde.
Well, John,
I'm trying to be a bit more diplomatic, John, to be fair. So Vela Clyde play Cumnock and Stirling Uni play Muirkirk. So I said that in my show last weekend that I want a Vela Clyde Muirkirk final.
Imagine how good would that be?
That's what I want. That's what I
want. Let's be honest.
No harm to Cumnock, obviously.
No. But just it's the underdog story into it. And Vela Clyde have had some tremendous results in the cups. It's particularly at home. It's a really difficult place to go. And then Muirkirk, as we've just touched on how well we've been doing, it would be great to see either of the teams go in at the final and win it. But we've got tough games coming up because University of Stirling have dished out a couple of doings to teams at our levels. And Cumnock, I know yesterday might not have been ideal for them, but Cumnock are definitely a much improved side, so it'll be a tough game for Vela Clyde.
Yep, and then one other cup game in the what they call it, the Cup Winners' Shield. Is that right? Well, let's go 2-0 up and then lose 4-3 to Lochar Thistle. So I really should have checked all the permutations, to be honest, and what needs to happen now between Crossgates and Lochar for Whitlets to still win that and go into the Senior Scottish. But they should be beating Lochar. Do you know what I mean? In my opinion, it's especially from 2-0 up. They should be beating them anyway, but never mind for 2-0 up. So
it's been a really poor season for Whitlets. I won't even lie. You see, now that I'm back coaching, I don't actually see as much of the results as I normally do, where I'll be sitting on a Saturday normally just scanning every single result coming through, and I've not been doing that recently, so I didn't even realise that had happened yesterday. But at that case, like, a South of Scotland team should not be coming to 2-0 down against a team up, even though Whitlets aren't having a great season, like I said, a team of Whitlets quality should be seeing a game through against a South of Scotland team at that kind of stage, but it's just adding to their poor season.
Aye, and Gamer G Mason is just saying he wants a Muirkirk Cumnock final.
That'd be interesting.
That'd be a good one as well. Right, okay. that is the cups taken care of into the league. And again, thanks to the West of Scotland Football League Facebook page in association with Back On Side for providing me with some lovely graphics. I never had them last night. I had to stay up to 1 o'clock on Sunday morning last weekend typing out the ticker. I never really, because I was out last Saturday night, so I didn't get into about 2 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, Arthurlie go to Auchinleck win last week, beat Troon 3-0 this week. Easy peasy for Arthurlie.
Honestly, such an impressive job that Willie and his team are doing there. They've been flying recently, and I'm saying that in the sense that the one
PG,
lesson that
PG, I need to stop you there.
Yes,
I wouldn't describe them as flying, because before they beat Auchinleck, they hadn't won in 4 in the league. So
I was going to caveat it with they haven't won. They've not even won half of their games. But in terms of coming for being a promoted side, I'd say beating the top 2 or the main 2 league contenders is flying the last couple of weeks, Johnny. I don't know about you, but that's what I would say. But it's been a really impressive season for them, and it is a shame that they can't get promoted this year because they're earning it. They really are. They're still in a position where a couple of results gone against them, they could fall back out the top 8, but they're really, really earning their place where they're just now, and it's all credit to them because that's a great result. Troon don't lose very often, and to go and beat them so convincingly on paper anyway, 3 goals, clean sheet, it's an absolutely tremendous result for them.
Aye, no, it is. And at the top of the table, again, we spoke last week about the margin for error getting thinner between Troon and Auchinleck, with Auchinleck losing, and Troon winning, and then it's kind of flipped again because now Auchinleck 5 games. I know 5 games in hand's a massive number, but they're only 11 points clear, which means you only need to win 4 out of the 5 rather than having to win all 4. If that makes sense, as to what it was before the start of play last week. So Troon will not want too many more slip ups because I don't think they can afford to have any more. And then it's already building towards Troon v Auchinleck up at Beechwood on the 28th of February, which will be on.
You're right, where Troon will get 13 games left. They've won 13, drawn 4 in the first 17. I don't think you can win a league at this level if you lose 7 or 8 games. I don't think it's really possible. And I know they've still got a wee bit to go in that, but if they lose to the Talbot, that's 5 games. Talbot have clawed back. It's a kind of proverbial 6-pointer. They've clawed right back into it with games in hand. Hard to see past them. But if Troon can beat the Talbot and go, say, 14 points clear, then they're putting real pressure on. Like you said, they've got to win all 5 games then, and it becomes much harder. So it's definitely interesting. And I know you're looking at Largs in second place and saying, oh, it's a great season. They've only won 9 out of 18. It is a great season for them, don't get me wrong, but they obviously have no chance of winning the league. They're 10 points back. We played a game more. They're a point ahead of the Talbot, played 6 games more. They're not in commission for it, but it's been a really good season for them as well, despite losing yesterday.
Yep, and Craig's saying that Troon have got Beith, Cumnock and Auchinleck all this month, so
tough month.
It's going to be a really tough month. Right, Hurlford beat St Cadoc's 3-0. Not really much to talk about there. Pretty standard fare, you would imagine. Johnston Borough come for 1-0 down, I believe, to beat Johnston Borough, to beat Largs, 3-1. Are Johnston Borough still in it, PG?
Yes, they're sitting 9th place. They've only played 10 games. So if they win their 2 games in hand on the Talbot, for talking sake, they are a point behind the Talbot, played the same games.
Well, we've got Talbot to play twice. Craig's doing a great job at keeping me up to date. I actually shouldn't even give you any credit, Craig, and just pretend I know what I'm talking about. So Talbot have got Johnston Borough twice and Cumnock to play twice as well. So that's what Auchinleck's got. But those 2 games, Johnston Borough and Auchinleck, they'll be massive. I
definitely agree. Because that's the thing.
Just to touch on, this game was hastily arranged by Kenny after the Fraserburgh, Largs and Dundee Violet games, Johnston Borough games were called off. Kenny's just put in the chat there that they'll be played on the 21st of February now, which means Hurlford, Largs and Johnston Borough, Hurlford and Largs and Pollock will be postponed. Pollock will now be at home at Hurlford on the 21st of February. So we're breaking news, PG, on the show.
That's a tremendous job that Kenny is doing.
Kenny. And did you see the boy having a bit of stushy about the fact that this game was arranged?
No? Who was having the issue?
The gentleman, Ben Grant. I think Ben's connected with Cowinan, I think I
saw. Yes. Ben's social media man at Cowinan.
Is he? Right, okay. I don't think he was too happy. I don't see why, personally. I don't understand why anybody would be complaining about clubs using their foresight and the fixture secretary getting a game played instead of the both teams sitting idle. So
I don't see how it's any impact on Cowinan when they were playing yesterday as well. So I don't. Maybe he's got a reason for it that we just don't know. But I don't see why you wouldn't.
He was trying to say something about the fact because teams have chosen to play in the Communities Cup, then them's the breaks kind of thing. But just
why would you still not play?
I know. I haven't. I don't know Ben. He follows me on X, and I follow him. So be happy to connect with him and get his point of view. But I don't I can't. I haven't spoken to anybody that agrees with him yet throughout West of Scotland League football. To be fair,
I think that the league have an obligation to make sure that a game like that gets fulfilled, because if the Borough don't play yesterday, they've got 21 games to play in the next 3 months. I mean, I get that happens with how things aren't great with pitches and games can be called off, and doing well in cups can be something that hampers you in the league. But at the same time, we can't be having teams sitting with 2/3 of the season to play, and we're in the middle of February nearly. You know what I mean? It's too much.
Aye, no, absolutely. And again, going into Tuesday, Glenafton. There's 3 Premier League games on Tuesday. Beath play Hurlford, Auchinleck go to Rutherglen, and Johnston Borough travel to Glenafton on Tuesday night, which should be interesting. And then Glenafton's the next one on the ticker. But anyway, sorry, I cut you off there when you were talking about Johnston Borough. Good result for them like that to get going again. I know they played last week. Or did they play last week? But they beat St Roch's a couple of weeks ago, and then they've went and beat Largs this week. So, they just need to get going, don't they, and get games played.
Aye, well, I've actually just looked on Ben's Twitter there. So his argument is you can't schedule a game under current rules with less than 5 days' notice, but we can organise games just in case games are off. But we can schedule games just in case to suit some clubs. I don't know if it's really to suit some clubs. I think it's just
because we know Kenny really, really well, and Kenny would do that for any club.
Yeah.
Like, see if there was any 2 clubs that wanted to play a game on the proviso that the game was off. I remember we did it at Lugar, and I'm sure we've done it at Mayball as well, where we've spoken to Kenny and said, look, this team is happy to play us in the league if both the cup games are off. So Kenny would do that for any club, and I don't want to speak for him, but I don't think that comment has got any weight at all, personally.
Nah, I would agree. Just looking at a couple of other results, Drumchapel obviously beating Glenafton 3-1. I really think the Hope he's done a tremendous job this season, particularly when it looked like it's maybe 6-8 weeks ago, maybe just before Christmas, they weren't having a great spell. They were starting to slip away, maybe looking like they weren't going to make the top 8. Really put themselves back into contention for it, and that's another good win yesterday. I know Glenafton, they've not been playing particularly well of late, but going down to New Cumnock, it's always difficult at any time, and the weather's always, in my opinion, every time I've ever been there, the weather's been horrible, and the park gets a bit bobbly because it's not the best conditions. That's a decent result for the Drum.
It's 5 wins in the league on the bounce for Drumchapel. Yeah. You know, it's really good form. But Glenafton, on the other hand, that's eight league games without a win for them, PG.
Aye, it's not great at all for them.
Because top 8 would surely been their ambitions.
100%. I think a couple of players have been let go as well late, and I don't know if that's because they're not up to standard or they wanted to leave, but they've had a really, really bad run. And I wonder, we were talking, or I mentioned it earlier in the season, about Paul Payton maybe looking at going for higher up jobs because he was doing a really good job there. But Glenafton's not been a great place for any manager for the last wee while, if I'm being honest.
Aye, no, definitely. And then the last 2 results, Rutherglen beat Cowinan 4-1, and Renfrew, great result at home against Cumnock, who were going well. Any thoughts on either of those, PG?
It's great to see, for me, I know Cumnock's one of my old teams, but for me, I'm really pleased to see Renfrew do well. My local team, I really like Jimmy. I like some of the committee members that I know there. And I think they're working really hard at the club with limited resources. And to be sitting 12th place after half the season and with a wee half shout of getting promoted, it's been a tremendous season for them so far.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that was, 4 or 5 without a win in the league before yesterday for Renfrew. So I think as well for a team that's maybe a bit inexperienced, that run can go on and go on and go on, and it's important you break it. So it's good that they have in style at home to come up. Okay, into the first division. I suppose we better start at St Rocks, PG.
Are we going to talk about Mr. Novo?
See, right. What's your thought? What's your thoughts on the
So I spoke to somebody for St Rocks today, and we were talking about it. And the person said to me, to be fair, he's like, Novo took some amount of stick.
That's what I was going to say.
But a guy who's played for Rangers and was hated by Celtic fans, I think it's stick he should probably be used to. Again, I've never had that level of abuse before, so I don't know how you deal with it. But I think what he did was ill-advised and a bit crass when there's women and children about. But aye, it wasn't great. But that was a great result for the Rock because Darvel have obviously really picked up since Natural Novos went in there. And you're looking at their form. They've won, was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the bounce before the Rock game, and went from being absolutely nowhere to a wee outside chance of trying to get into the top 2 or 3. But the Rock, that was a really good result for them, and it keeps them still in the hunt to try and put pressure on the Meda.
Do you know the only thing for me is the kind of slightly disappointing thing, if you like, from my point of view, is see all the stuff with Novo, and there's like, I've seen because I engaged. Well, when I say engaged, I opened it up to watch the clipper Nacho doing what he was doing. So now I'm seeing hundreds of stuff today with St Rocks, like all the St Rocks fans videos and stuff like that. And do you know the only downside for me is I feel it's taken away a wee bit from what was an outstanding result on the park.
Aye, great result. I mean, he scored 5 goals against a Darvel team who have been, like I said, 6 wins in a bounce. It's a massive result for the Rock, and it shows them as genuine title contenders. I know they're 12 back just now with 3 games in hand, and like we've spoken about before, having the points on the board is the important thing. But if you're able to go and do that to a genuine contender, then what's to say you can't go and do that to the Meda if you get the chance?
Aye, and the Chainsaw Chap's just asking if they think there's any action in taken. I don't know. Like I said, it's probably.
I'd hope no. It's just a bit daft.
It's no advised, and it's a bit, like I said, it's a bit crass, and you've got kids and stuff like that in at the games and stuff. But I can only imagine. Well, I heard some of the stick he was getting in some of the videos, and I can only imagine some of the pelters he was getting. Especially if you think if you remember, there was also a boycott, an apparent boycott at Celtic Park, which meant the crowd might have been up a wee bit more than normal and stuff like that. And let's be honest, if I was a diehard Celtic fan of many years and I wasn't going to Celtic Park out of some mad principled reason because we've only won 13 out of the last 14 titles.
Jonny. Then don't be throwing nonsense out there.
And I had the opportunity to walk down the street and give abuse to Nacho Novo, I probably would. Do you know what I mean? That's the issue. But it probably wasn't the best advice. But I said the thing is, I said on last week's show, people are desperate for Nacho to fail. I feel, just because of his reputation and his history. So I hope it doesn't deter him, if that makes sense, because he's done a great job since he's been in at Darvel, and I hope that kind of stuff doesn't get on top of him. I don't know him, so I don't know his personality, whether it would, but I hope it doesn't get on top of him, because that kind of stuff you can, especially at our level, because the fans are so close, you can hear things. Sometimes you can get
it's horrible,
intimidated because the guys are really close to you. They can reach out and touch you. You know what I mean? I had a horrible incident at Irvine Meadow where I did something completely out of order because I panicked. Do you know what I mean? Because people were on top of me. So it can happen, and I just hope it doesn't deter him.
I got 3 times. I got three separate occasions. I was threatened by St. Roch's fans that they were going to stab me after the game. So it's not particularly nice. Don't get me wrong. I knew it wasn't going to happen because nobody really cared when I was playing for Port Glasgow. But it can be quite intimidating. And I suppose I've used the Celtic and Rangers thing, but that seems different when there's a guy who's 5 foot behind you and he's screaming and shouting abuse at you and looks like he could probably leather you. That it becomes a wee bit different than that. But it is what it is. Hopefully it's not taken any further and it's just kind of left as is.
No, definitely. Okay, looking about the other results, Coburn had a really good result against home to Cumbernauld. Neilston get back to winning ways against Petershill after Petershill's great result last week, and then Vale of Clyde take care of Lanark 4-0 end for those three before we cover the last two.
I think the Neilson and Petershill one seemed quite interesting. It was a bit back and forth. I think Neilson were 2 up, then went Petershill got himself back in, then extended it again and got himself back in. I think the Coburn result's a really big one for me in terms of trying to get them back into the promotion spots. I was a bit surprised that it was so emphatic because Cumbernauld, I know they can be a bit hit and miss. You see that with the results, 8 wins, 1 draw, 7 defeats. But I did think they were better than that. Well, it's no surprise in the slightest, but I want to look at their Drawson game against Gartcairn. That's Gartcairn. Obviously, we knew it was going to happen. We've spoken about it previously, but since Ryan McStay and Darren Barr left, I think it was after the St. Roch's game they lost 2-0. Since then, they've lost 6-2 to Muirkirk, 7-1 to Muirkirk, 2-0 to Meda, 4-0 to Cumbernauld, 4-1 to Darvel, and 6-1 to Drawson. So it's just completely fell apart for them, and it's hard to see where they're going to pick up any more points.
I don't think they will,
because they're sitting in 4th place just now with 27 points.
They'll win. They will win a game because it's football and it happens. I would think between now and the end of the season, because you would hope anyway that it could just because it's football and stuff like that happens in football. But I don't know where. Don't ask me to tell you where.
It's just a hard one to see. I can't see it just now. It's because they're not even, other than surprisingly enough, the Meda game was the one that they were closest. Other than that, they've not laid a glove on anybody. So it's really hard to see where they're going to get any results. And I'm just wondering how long it'll take for them to drop out of the top 8 and miss out in promotion. Because as it stands, Neilson are sitting in 8th place with 3 games in hand and only 6 points behind them. So I think we could be looking at by the end of March probably, and Gartcairn could be done.
What do you think of Gavin leaving Drawson?
I was a bit surprised.
I was very surprised.
I think they're having I know they've not been as good as they were at the start of the season, but
I said in the show last week, PG, I don't know if you agree with me, but there must be stuff behind the scenes. I think Craig had mentioned that there was a fallout or something like that, but I don't know, so I can't comment on it. But there must be something going on behind the scenes.
You would think so, because they're a club where he's reasonably well back for the level. They're looking, to me, in a really good position to get promoted. I don't remember the last time the Drawson were in the Premier League or the top flight at this level. I can't remember. It's not been the last 20 years since I've been involved. So it could have been a really good season for them. So you would think it's potentially going to be something behind the scenes that's caused this.
Yeah, I know, definitely. And it's a great job for them. They say they'd ask for applications. Because usually the team's on its backside when you're going in somewhere like we saw with Nacho at Darvel and the guys at Benburb, etc. So it's a really good position. You're sitting with 6th in the league, so with a real chance of getting into the Premier League next year. And the thing is, they've got a good committee. You'll be back. They've got a great facility that they've invested in. So there's a lot of positives at Drawson right now. It's a good job to get.
You probably only need 5 or 6 wins out the remaining 12 games.
And they've got the squad to get them. Like you see, the starting lineup, they're a good squad. So, just to put a bow in the first division, St. Roch's travel to Irvine Meadow on Tuesday night. PG.
Very interesting game. they're flying high after that win. I know you touched on the defeat last week to Petershill, but that was a great way to bounce back. What's your view? Having not seen any of these teams play this season, I'd probably lean towards the Meda, but what would be your view on that, this fixture on Tuesday?
I think of the medal, and I just think it's just I think Tuesday's going to be massive. See if St Roch's can go down there and win, then it really puts the cat amongst the pigeons, to use a great term, because it brings them 9. It brings them within 9 with 3 in hand. Now, Meda will, if St Roch's win, Meda have lost 2, St Roch's have lost 4. Losing 4 games at this stage is probably still league winning form. I still, if you were to hold my feet to the fire, I would still say Meda. I've been quite strong on that all season, especially since when Ryan McStay left Gart and Darren Barr left Gart Cairn. I said that was Meadows' league now, and I do kind of stick by it. But who knows if
you wouldn't be massively shocked if the Rock were able to get a result either. But I agree with you. I would be leaning towards the Meda. But if the Rock can get something, I wouldn't.
I feel that St Roch's are more likely to drop a wee point here and there at somewhere they maybe shouldn't. Whereas I don't get that same. And I know they drew with Benburb last week, but I don't get that same feeling with Meadow, and that's like nothing against St Roch's or the team that they've got there. So I think they've just built up such a lead that they can probably afford 1 or 2. And I think if St Roch's maybe drop, like if Irvine Meadow win on Tuesday night, never talk about St Roch's win. If Irvine Meadow win on Tuesday night, I'd say it's pretty much done.
I would tend to agree with you. I think that 15 points, considering the Med have only lost 1 game, I'd say 15 points are probably getting into the territory where it's maybe a bit too far.
Aye, and again, just Kirkintilloch, Rob Roy play Lanark at home on Wednesday, and Petershill at home to John Hughes' Vale of Clyde, who had a good result against Lanark yesterday. So a good wee trip to Pg for you on Wednesday night, John. That'll get the boys away for your training for a couple of nights. So happy days. Right, okay, into the second division. Second division, as always, one that I'm kind of always invested in. But Threave dropping points again, home to Lesmahago. We know Lesmahago's a good side, but still be disappointed to drop points. And then Bellshill holding up their end of the bargain by seeing off Thorn 2-0.
Well, Ross McClatchy had commented, I can't see it now, but commented how tight a league it is earlier on in the show. We're talking about Threave and Bellshill. What about Maryhill? I mean, beating Threave, beating Cali Locals yesterday, which is a result I'd probably expect, but I don't think they'll win the league. But see, Maryhill, they win their games in hand. They're 6 points off of Bellshill. You're right in the hunt for it then, and I think that's such an impressive run of form for Maryhill. Threave, I wonder what's going on that they've had the wee blip. I mean, do you know what I think it is? It's losing Ross Irvin. That's what it is. Losing him and the whole thing goes absolutely knackered. But well done to Bellshill yesterday as well, because they were under a bit of pressure a few weeks back when it looked like Threave were starting to really turn the screw. Bellshill have shown a bit of character. Obviously, keeping the kind of similar management team when Jonny left as well has probably helped a bit of continuity. So it's a really good result for them. But for me, Maryhill, absolutely tremendous and really, really flying.
Aye, and I think was it when we were on with you, or was it with Barry last week? I just said that the advantage Threave got after beating Bellshill just completely went.
They're gone.
I mean, that's three league games in a bounce Threave haven't they won, which is very unlike them.
Do you know? The drew with Maryhill, I'm talking rubbish. That's actually what I meant to say. The one that really shocked me was Ashfield beating them last week.
Yeah.
That was a shocker for me. I mean, Ashfield obviously has been well known the issues they've faced in the last couple of seasons. Tremendous result for them, but really didn't expect Threave to lose to Ashfield. But like you said, Bellshill, that kind of disadvantage they were at after losing to Threave, turned it right around, and now they're back 2 points clear.
I know, definitely, and looking good. And our team Blantyre have again picked up again. They beat Maybole last week, and then they got a good win this week at Greenock. Greenock, we know, is a good side again. had their fair share of cup scalps this year. That's quite hard to say, actually. Cup scalps. Good result for Andy in his new job at Blantyre, beating Green up 2-0.
Aye, a really good result for them. Andy's a kind of he did a really good job at Easterhouse, obviously, and then he's looked. I don't know if it's maybe that new manager bounce you get sometimes, but that's 3 in the bounce, or 4 in the bounce for them. No, sorry, 5. Not all him, but that's 5 wins in the bounce for Blantyre, and it brings them back into it. I'm wondering if being 10 points behind is going to be too much, but as Ross had touched on with how tight this league is, see when you've got 4 teams potentially vying for one spot, you're going to get teams dropping points, and it's going to be quite interesting. But it's a really good result for Andy, and I'd imagine he'd be very pleased with how it started for him.
Aye, and PG, I just want to get your thoughts on Thorn, basically, because we've obviously waxed lyrical about them in the show. I spoke to Barry about it a wee bit, but that's 1 win in 9.
I know.
1 win in 10, sorry. 1 win in 10 in the league for Thorn.
I actually spoke to somebody this morning. No, my son's football, one of the dads, fair boy, has just joined the team. I used to play with him years ago at amateur level. And he played at Thorn at youth level, and he says, "How's the Thorn getting on?" I seen they've been doing really well. And I says, "Well, they've done really well for the 2 promotions they got." And I'd said to him that they've probably found their level. And I think when I say that, I mean they probably are a bottom half of the second division type team, maybe a top of the third division type team. That's the level for me, which I think's excellent considering where they've come from in the last few years. Yeah. But I know there was certain issues where previously, and obviously the management team changed again. But I'm a bit surprised that it's as bad as it is, because as you touched on how many they've lost, they had a reasonable start to the season as well. They looked like they were going to be a potential for another promotion. I'm wondering if the new management team can pick it back up for them, but it's not started as well as they'd like.
Aye, no, definitely.
Do you think, Jonny, sorry to go on about it, do you think that maybe it's time for the Thorn to look elsewhere? No harm to Derek, who's in there just now, but...
No, I don't know, man. It depends what their ambitions are as well, do you know what I mean? Because I don't know, like I said, I don't know much about the club in terms of budgets, what their backing's like, behind the scenes, and do you know what I mean? That kind of thing, where they've got ambitions to push up the leagues.
The reason I say that, Jonny, is something we've commended them on, is they've continuously promoted within, and it's worked for them. Since Barry McLaughlin left, they've promoted within every time, and it's really worked for them. But I'm wondering, again, this isn't aimed at Derek, this is just because the results haven't been great for the last few months. But I wonder, is it time to maybe look out with, because you've maybe tapped up most of the good quality coaches that you've got within the club? And again, that is not a dig at Derek, because I'm hoping he does well. He's a nice guy, but is that something that maybe they should look at?
I mean, like I said, it could be a case of just they've found their... I think when a team has been so good, getting promoted back to back, you also get you get complacent almost into thinking it's just going to keep happening. You know what I mean? And sometimes it doesn't. You know, so maybe just... do you know what I think it'll be interesting, PG? I think it'll be interesting to see what happens in the summer.
Aye, definitely.
They don't get promoted, which I don't think they will. It'll be interesting to see what that squad looks like starting next year.
They might rebuild and actually have a good crack at next season. It's very, very possible. But maybe some of their experienced players are, I mean, like Darren Jonesy must be 38 now. You've got David McKenna's in there who's helping with coaching as well, but Davy's going to be 40 this year. That's getting maybe too far away. 2 guys who have been tremendous at this level for years and years, both good goal scorers, but maybe getting a wee bit older as well, that they might need to freshen up a bit.
Yep. Okay, into the third division. Good win for the... What you use, Cod? What's your nickname?
The Way Ho.
That's the worst nickname in West of Scotland. If you can think of a worse nickname in the West of Scotland, please put it in the comments now. Worse than the Way Ho. 6-1 win for the Way Ho, PG. Good.
Do you know We've been a wee bit.
Keep it brief because we've got actual good games to talk about.
We've been a wee bit off it since we came back for the new year. Losing to Muirkirk, obviously they deserved their win on the day, but we weren't very good. Then Dorai, granted we played 70 minutes with 10 men and lost the keepers made a bit of howler right to the death to go 2-2. Then we Easterhouse last week was bitterly disappointing. We weren't great, but we're 2-0 up, comfortable in the game. A couple of daft mistakes led to goals, and Danny might disagree with me, but they didn't deserve that. I thought they were pretty poor, but they showed great commitment and desire, because they actually, when they scored the second, they looked like the only team that were going to go and win the game. But I just felt that we were in control most of the game without being great. But yesterday, we kind of controlled the game. Comfortable win. I actually didn't think that Perthshire, I know the results kind of 6-1 doing. I didn't actually think Perthshire were as bad as the result shows, but we did deserve to beat them by a few. But so we're really happy with it, and it puts us kind of in a good position as well. Sits in 4th place.
All joking aside, PG, right? As I said, we spoke about York at the start of the season before, obviously you were involved, and we didn't really fancy them to do much this season. It's fair to say, right? Just what has happened that's been? I mean, because what's that, 7 without defeat in the league for you guys? Like, what is going on in there that has led to the success this season?
Well, if we're being honest, Johnny, I've only been there for 7.
It's not you.
I've only been there for 7 games, so you maybe need to look at that. No, Dom had to completely rebuild the team. I mean, completely rebuild the team. That's why I think the start of the season was a bit slower. It's a young team, but it's a good team. It does lack experience, and it can be a wee bit naive at times, but it is a good young side, and the boys they're just a good group of boys. They want to work hard, and they want to try and play football the right way. So for me, I think that it's just taking time. Now that I'm inside and I can see it, I think it's just taking time for Dom to build his team, and I actually think they've done a tremendous job bringing in a group of young players and making us competitive, because we might not win the league. The next 3 weeks will be massive in determining whether we're going to have a say in what happens, because we've got the Ants next week, then we've got the Port, and then we've got Craigmark. So for talking's sake, say we win the 3 games, I'd put us in a position where you're saying we're in contention to win the league. But if you lose 2 of the games, then it's all just about the top 8, which I think the club would be absolutely delighted with. But I think we've got hopes of being more competitive than just the top 8.
I think if you can walk out of A3 with 5 points, you'd be delighted.
I'd like more, but I definitely would say. I would say,
I completely get it. You're a coach, you're in there. Do you know what I mean? You expect to win every game. That's just what you do. But from my neutral, cold-blooded, cold-hearted point of view, I think if you walk away with 5 points, you'd be delighted. But speaking of your beloved Port, that we said a couple of weeks ago when we knew this game was coming up that if Port Glasgow wanted to mount a challenge to Craigmark, as tough as it's going to be, they would have to win that game, and they managed to 1-0.
It's a great result for them. Good signing as well, getting Danny Bamford back in for Kilbirnie. I was actually surprised it didn't work at Kilbirnie for Danny, because Colin had been playing him a bit further forward, and he'd scored a couple of goals and looked like he was doing well. And I don't know what's happened. I've not seen Danny in a while. I usually bump into him on a Friday at the gym, but it's a good signing for the Port, and it's a great result for them. He keep a clean sheet, which is something the Port don't do very often. And Craigmark score a considerable amount of goals, so to keep a clean sheet is massive. But for me with Craigmark, I'm wondering how it will go. They've had a lot of games at home played, and now they're starting to get that running away games. They're definitely good enough to win this league. I know quite a few other players personally, and they're definitely good enough to win it. But when you're coming up to Glasgow or Inverclyde regularly for weeks and weeks on end, it becomes a bit more difficult when you've got a lot of boys for Ayrshire travelling. So, tremendous result for the Port, but it's only Craigmark still get 3 games in hand on the Port and only 2 points behind. So it's not the end of the world for them.
No, I mean, in my opinion, it's still Craigmark's to lose. But like you said, the Port, we're going to put any kind of pressure on them, and it'll be interesting to see how Craigmark bounce back. They go to Glasgow Uni next Saturday up at Airdrie, who had a really good result away to Dalry and beating them 3-1. Dalry hit the skids just a wee bit recently, PG. That's them down to 7th now, when we thought they were nailed on title contenders, and it's without a win in the last 4 league games.
Yeah. Do you know, Dalry were a bit industrial, I would say, when we played them, but the park was awful that day, so I don't know if that's a fair reflection, because we were a bit back to front as well. They're actually not a bad team. They've got good runners going forward, but I think defensively they've been a wee bit ropey, and you see that conceding more than 2 goals a game. Glasgow Uni, obviously the great start to the season, great result for them as well. But I'm talking about Yoker and how we think if we can win a few games, then we're in a position. But Glasgow Uni, they're 12 points behind the Port with 4 games in hand. If Glasgow Uni can string a run together, that's what's so interesting about this league. I would say potentially any of the top 6, if they can fire a good run together, could win the league. And that's, we're talking about how good League 2, Division 2 is, but Division 3 is definitely the tightest league out of them all, because, like I said, you have 6 teams who are genuine title contenders.
Aye, yep. Knightswood go down to St Ants and beat them 5-0. I've not spoke to you since have I spoken to you?
No, we've not spoke since then.
Last week, wasn't it?
Yep.
Aye, we kind of touched on it with Barry last week, but you get any thoughts? One of your many former clubs?
Many former clubs. Routine result for Knightswood. I expected that. Obviously, Paul McDougall's come in at the Ants.
How do you think he'll do? I don't know him. But
I played against him. I don't really know Paul. I played against him. I believe he was Dalry manager before, and it never really worked out for him. I think it was quite a poor spell. The Ants.
Was that before Fusey?
That would have been a long time ago.
Right, okay.
I think we're talking 15 years ago, maybe. Yeah. Like quite a long time ago. But the Ants are, as much as it's one of the clubs, like, obviously I've played for so many, right? But it's one of the clubs I really like. The committee were so good to me, and I just wonder what's going on. I know they don't have any money, but it seems to be going from bad to worse. And I thought they made a good appointment when they brought Jonny in. And I thought they'd made a good appointment when they brought Monty in. And obviously Jonny left, and Monty's just really not worked at all. Paul McDougall's a bit a funny one for me. That's proper unexpected, but who's to say that he's not got good contacts and he can bring in players and could pick it up? So we'll see how it goes. But
no, do you know what I mean? Like, see, when you're at that level and you've not got any money to spend, it's just about how can you get players to come and play for you for nothing effectively? Do you know what I mean? And sometimes I don't think people realise that how difficult that part of the job can be down the levels. Do you know what I mean? And it's even more difficult when you're losing games. You know, you have to think that you can win games, and then you can try and get better players.
You'll get managers in the top league, and don't get me wrong, having money can bring different issues, right? But you'll get managers in the top leagues who moan about certain things, and you're like, try taking the Ants when you have not got 2 pennies to rub together. Us at Yoker, we have very, very limited funds, and you're like, try taking that when you're having to rebuild teams most years as well. It's just such a different job. It's so difficult.
Try doing it in Ayrshire. You know, you're in Glasgow, no offence, but you're in Glasgow, like the catchment area is absolutely enormous. Try doing it at Lugar, at Maybole, at Girvan. Do you know what I mean? Like when you've no get 2 pennies to rub together. You know, so it's such an important part of the job for every day. And then another new manager, David Templeton, in at Glasgow United. No winning 9 for Glasgow United, and of course they go down to Kello, which is an incredibly tough place to go and get a 4-2 win.
I know. I spoke to Temps a while back after we gave them a bit of going over, and see, to be honest, it's the usual thing that we all suffer for. He says we've got a lot of bodies missing, and I think maybe if they're getting bodies back, you'll start to see improvements. And him and Big Nickel have got a lot of good contacts there. Maybe be able to bring some boys in that might pick up, or it might not. It may have just been one of the freak results, and they could go back to losing next week. But it's a good result for them. Poor result for Kello. But that's something we were talking about yesterday as well. At our game after it was like, that's a good result for us, because as much as I'm talking about us going on a good run and potentially being league contenders, if we lose 2 or 3 of the next 3 or 4 games, we're back in the struggling for the top 8. because it's so tight. Again, I said any of the top 6 can win the league, but you're looking at Girvan in 8th, 27 points, Kello in 9th, 27 points, Easterhouse in 10th on 24 points. That's only 6 points behind us. It could really be that tight either way.
I mean, we spoke about it when we were on the show. I think you can look all the way down to all the way down to Glasgow United potentially. I don't think Fanatic have got enough about them to challenge, but I think that for Glasgow United up, I think you could see any of those ones. I genuinely do.
I think it's probably too far for Glasgow United based on current form.
Because they've got games in hand and they can win games. They've got quality and they've got experience. They can, I feel like I've said that for about 3 years, to be fair, but I do think they could win games and they could put themselves in the mix.
Maybe potentially. See if they go and win their next couple of games, then I would say it could be that tight. But you could be right. You could be 12 teams fighting it for maybe 4 places, while the other few are fighting for a league title. So it's definitely, in my eyes, it's definitely the most interesting league.
It's good for us anyway. Good for us.
Oh, definitely.
Right into the 4th division. Irvine Vic's back to form with a really good win against top of the table Vela leaving. Irvine Vic's kind of stumbled a wee bit recently, but that's a really good result for them at home.
Great result. We've touched on them a few times how they seem to go and get really good results, and then results you expect them to pick up comfortably, they end up dropping points, and it's been a bit hit and miss for them. But again, they're only 3 points back with 2 games in hand. They're definitely in with a shout. Again, this is another league as well where potentially any of the top 6 could win the league, and this maybe even 7th if you want to go as far down as Carluke. So it's definitely an interesting running. And Carluke again dropping points, and it's to Wishaw, which, no disrespect to Wishaw, but they're obviously having another stinker of a season. And I don't know what's happened to Carluke. They've just completely fallen off a cliff. But you've got East Kilbride and Irvine Vic on and picking up results and really putting pressure on teams about them. So it's great results for them, but it's Carluke.
It's funny, right? Because you look at it. Well, I always like to look at the form as a kind of guide to how, like, what's happening with. Because as we've said before, we've 80 teams to cover. It's difficult to keep abreast of everything that's going on. So I like to look at the form tables and see who's in this league. Is always like there's very rarely a team that's doing one thing. Do you know what I mean? It's always like a couple of wins here, a draw, a loss, a couple of draws, a loss, a win. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Vela leaving had been in a really good run up until yesterday. And then obviously at the other end, Rossvale and Campbelltown on the other end of it. But it does seem like it's a really exciting league because it genuinely seems like if you take Campbelltown and maybe Rossvale out of it, everybody can beat everybody.
Yeah. Because you look at that, like if for talking sake, take the 2 of them out of it, you've only got Wishaw on 14. You're literally looking at 12 points separating bottom and getting promoted, and that place would have a couple of games in hand. So it's really tight. I know we're talking about the top end of the table, but see, for me, for Campbelltown, do Campbelltown just call it a day after this season? No, I'm hearing things about the fact that they're approaching people up here who don't really have much experience at this level, are approaching them and asking them to take the team for them when they come up here, and just putting bodies together to play for them when they come up to Glasgow and Ayrshire. I really don't mean it to be cruel, but I think it's time for them. I think it's done. Just go back to the amateurs.
Do you know something? I had heard that, and whether it was a complete rumour, I don't know.
Oh, I know it's true because I was told by the person they asked.
Right. So I know that the secretary sometimes watches us. He sent me a couple of messages on X before, Campbell Robertson. So if you are watching us, Campbell, and you want to have a chat, then you can let us know. But it's been a difficult season. But sitting second in the form table, Saltcoats Vicks 3-2 win against.
Great run of form.
Mm-hmm.
I think we touched on it a couple of times with Stevie and Davey being in at Saltcoats, and 2 experienced guys at this level have been about for years and years. And Saltcoats, the last time they did reasonably well was when the 2 of them were in charge, and it is again they're putting themselves in a position that, as it stands, they're in a position to get promoted. And a part of me would love to see them get promoted, because I don't have any really affinity to Saltcoats, but I feel like they've had such a hard time for years and years. It would be really nice to see Saltcoats get some form of success.
Do you think the fact they're playing their own games at Ardrossan will help them?
I think it would. Why is that? Why are they playing
with the restrooms or something? I think the roof caved in when it was bad weather recently.
Which is something that they don't need as a club either.
No, but so that'll help them as well, because good facilities, nice place to go. You know yourself, like even if it is your home park, it's still I'm not going to swear again, but a bleep hole, that kind of thing. And I mean that in the best ball in the world, but going to Ardrossan where you've got nice facilities, nice dressing room, nice park, all that kind of stuff, it can only improve things. And do you know what else it does, PG, as well? It actually makes it a better sell for potential players.
Oh, 100%.
Even try to bring boys in for the end of the season. Like, you can say, like, if I was, I don't know, say you're a Premier League side and you're going to send a young boy for your 20s or something on loan to Saltcoats, and you know where they play if you're local and stuff like that. But now they're playing at Ardrossan, you're like, right, okay, we'll send them there. He'll get good game time. He'll get on a good surface. Less chance of him getting injured. He'll get more of the ball, etc., etc. So I think it's win-win in my opinion, although Saltcoats will lose out on money, etc. So on a football sense, it's probably win-win. For a club sense, it's probably
to touch on one of the title contenders and a team who East Kilbride YM drawn with Royal Albert yesterday. Royal Albert have lost the least amount of games in the league and find themselves sitting in 10th place. Now, Connor, we've kind of praised Connor for a while on the show, and when does that change as well? Like, when did they start picking up results? That's 7 draws at 15, only 6 wins, 2 defeats.
From my chats with Connor when he was on the show, it's just taking chances is what he's saying to me. You know what I mean? And it can be so frustrating. I can imagine how frustrating it must be for him. But you can look at it in the positive, glass half full. They're not losing.
Aye, they've only conceded 18 goals in 15 games as well.
We've all been around the game long enough. Those draws can turn into defeats just as quickly as they turn into wins.
And the thing is, see if they turn into wins quickly, then they're probably missing it. Even they could be having a chance of winning the league. I know it's all if buts and maybes, right? But they're only 10 points back with 4 games in hand. I mean, how do you have a team who are sitting 10th in the league over halfway through the season could potentially still win the league? It does show how interesting it is, but they really need to start scoring goals. Having scored 26 in 15 games is no enough to even get yourself promoted, to be fair.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Crazy saying Saltcoats have got plans for new dressing rooms. Good, it's about time. But EKYM, bit of a story of the season so far. Best team in the league on form, looking good for the promotion spots. But again, it's going to be another one. But BSC, so you didn't catch my chat with Barry. So basically, you saw the social media stuff. So basically, the club have went to Barry and basically said that they want to effectively can the West of Scotland team because it's no financially viable for BSC as an entity to run it. So what Barry was what they're trying to do is trying to continue it on basically hopefully until the end of the season, and then kind of see where they go from there. One of the things he'd said on the show was about whether they can change it into something else under the same, do you know what I mean, that kind of thing, or they'll need to fold it or whatever, I don't know. So it's going to be really interesting to see, but it's just a shame because everything was positive around the results that they've been having recently when they start the season and stuff, and Barry was such a likeable kind of guy on the show. He came across really well, so it would be an absolute travesty to see another club go to the wall, man.
That would be, and that's what, again, I didn't mean it in a bad way, but that's me talking about Campbelltown, where maybe do they step out because it's just so difficult for them and how it is. BSC had the horror show season last year and have picked up. Barry and his team have obviously, I know they're still sitting in 12th place, but they've obviously done a tremendous job to pick up for where it was last season. I wonder if it's just the curse of having BSC in your name that you just can't survive. Because, see, to be honest, they're in a good area. That kind of Yoker area. I know you've got Yoker, Clydebank, and a couple of teams about you in Drumchapel and stuff. But it's a good catchment area. It's easy access, no far travel. They've got their own facility, or will they still have their own facility? Is that part of the issue as well?
I don't know. Like I say, that's I think everything like that's up in the air just now, mate. To be honest,
we're also talking about an 8-team league. I know we've got a power of teams coming in next season, but we've got an 8-team league, and could that go to a 6-team league next season? Where if the worst happens with WOSFL, with BSC and Campbelltown, and I know they'll bring some in, but I think no, for me personally, because I think it's been great having all the new teams, but I think it does give an argument to those who aren't keen on a lot of new clubs coming in, that you have teams like this who are just not sustainable enough to actually add a massive amount to the level, and that's disappointing to see.
I know, but I mean, on the flip side of that, I'm pretty sure every club needs to present their business case to the league before they get accepted. So, and I've not absolutely no doubt the league will do their due diligence in making sure that these clubs can bring something to it. So you can't really, if a club meets all the criteria and ticks
I know.
You can't say, like, do you know what I mean? Just because in 3 years' time they might not be sustainable anymore. So I think it's just. I suppose it's just making sure that these clubs understand everything that's actually involved in running a club at the West of Scotland level, because there is a lot of stuff you need to do. You know,
definitely is.
There's all the hidden costs and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? There's the cost of training lets and facilities and referees, and like just loads and loads of stuff that you need to think about. Maintaining a pitch, maintaining dressing rooms. Do you have a committee of a decent size, which I think is a struggle for a lot of teams down the levels as committee members. That's one thing that
you'll know that at clubs you've been involved in, and like we have that at Yoker. Like I don't even know. I think we've only got 2 guys that really run everything for us.
Right. I mean, look at we were 5 or 6 maybe. Great guys. Maybell's the same. And the work that these guys put in, the power work these guys put in. Do you know what I mean? To do everything try and make their team as good as it can be, but you just don't see any new faces, if that makes sense, and I think that's the most concerning thing, is that you're not getting the new blood coming through, and I don't know what you do to entice them to come in. I know a lot of clubs are bringing in younger fans, the ultras, if you like, so to call. Maybe in 10 years' time, maybe they'll become committee members in the future, but there's still that gap, where I would just love people that maybe go along and watch the club every week, like get involved. You don't actually have to do much. Do you know what I mean? You can just help out. You can fundraise, you can promote the club, you can do all these kind of things. So, and for small community clubs, especially places like Lugar, Maybole, Girvan, places like this, it's a massive thing in the community, the football club. So, that's my plea to anybody watching.
Aye, if you can help your club, your local club, if somebody go and watch, and like you said, it doesn't have to be a huge amount, but anything that you can do to help, it's massive for clubs. It definitely is. It could help them survive.
And you get in for nothing to all the games as well.
Exactly, every game.
So it's actually saving you money. You know what I mean? By joining the committee.
I know.
And you get in for none away games it takes. You get a wee card.
Exactly, your wee WOSFL card.
Committee card, I know, aye, definitely. Okay, mate, just one wee thing, just touch on Craig's just mentioned in the chat there about about Josh Hay being for the visual for the Celtic game. We'll not talk about the last bit of his comment, but it is good. I know Josh well. I think he's a Prestwick lad as well, same as myself. And he's a really good lad. And I think I've always thought highly of him as a referee as well. And the main reason for that, PG, is because he'll talk.
Right, Josh is decent. I used to work with Josh's dad, and Mr. Hay, Barry. But he's for a good family. Josh is a decent guy. The thing is, you look at, not everybody's going to agree, and Josh will make mistakes, but he's a young guy, and it's good to see somebody you look at all the top referees they know. They were the guys that referee does.
Well, definitely. You've got Stevie Cutland, Matthew McDermott. Obviously, Dallas is now working the telly badly, can't even work a telly to get the decisions right. Do you know what I mean? But they're all.
Well, I remember Kevin.
David Dickinson, our bargain hunt, he's on it as well. So
I remember Kevin Clancy sending me off in a cup final at boys club level once.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Nick Walsh coming through when I was at Cumnock. He was very young, and they were talking about him being the big one, because I always remember doing it Cumnock. He did a game, and we were told before the game, like, this is the boy that they're hoping to push through, and obviously he did. But we'll have to disagree with Craig's end party's comment on it.
And listen, that's another thing. It's another part of the game which is in danger as well. You know, I was at an event with Dougie, what's his name? Dougie Young, referee last week, and he was saying about the difficulties they're having of recruiting new guys into the refereeing profession as well. So I feel like grassroots level. I mean, I've seen amateur games called off this year because they can't get referees.
It's terrible, isn't it? Because the thing is, the money you can get for it's decent, but it's definitely a really tough gig. I did it for a wee bit just to make extra money, and I only did under 14s or 15s. But it can be, it's not the best. I remember, just to digress, I was doing quite well for a bit, and I think they were trying to push me in. I didn't really like go any further, but I refereed a league decider at under 15 level, and I completely made a backside of a penalty decision in the last minute, and it's the abuse I took, and quite rightly so, to be honest. I knew after I'd done it that I'd made a mistake, but it's, even with that, it's still not a great feeling. I don't know why anybody would want to do it every single week.
I did the course, but I never. Then they asked me to do it again when I got feared, and then they wanted to do it. But Dougie was saying at the time that like obviously I was still. Was around about 30. He was like you're 30-year-old, you're ex-professional. We'll push you if you're decent. But I was just too feared to do it. To be honest, I didn't want to. Couldn't put myself out there because you're as much as you hate. You know what I mean? You're just on your own. Like, you've got nobody there. You've no backup. It's just like, I know.
Do you know what I found funny? See, the first few games I did not want to blow my whistle. I remember somebody would get away, and I'd be like, "That's 100% a foul," and then I just wouldn't blow my whistle. It was just a pure weird feeling.
Oh, good. Right, well, good luck to Josh. He is one of the good guys. I've got a lot of time for him, so hopefully he does well. Right, mate. Good times. Times. Lots to digest for the viewers and the listeners, as always. Which seems to be the case nowadays. If I've got anything wrong, please make sure and leave it in the comments, which seems to be popping up more and more. Jonny said this. Was it actually this?
It's funny when somebody comments after we've been live, and it's me that has to reply. And sometimes I've not even seen the episode, and I'm like trying to reply to it as if I don't know what you're talking about.
No, but as always, everybody that's engaged with us live tonight, your questions and comments. Your opinions is always much appreciated. The kind of core viewership that we have is great, and it makes for entertaining. It makes our job easier because we've got interaction for everybody. So thanks very much. And remember, when you are watching, or if you are watching now, catching up, then please hit the like button and subscribe to the Pyramid Promotions channel. If you're listening to us on audio form, then please rate and review on your podcast networks. We've been sponsored by Roxburgh Insurance Brokers, GLA Chauffeurs, and VSN Sport. PG, thanks very much, mate, as always.
Thank you.
We'll see you again in a couple of weeks.
See you in a couple of weeks.
Brilliant. Okay, mate, listen, I was gutted last week.
Okay.
I was gutted. We finished on a real downer. We had Barry talking about the terrible situation at BSC, and then my average goals was under 4.
Oh, heartbreaking.
I know, mate. I know.
How about we this week?
3.8 last week.
Right.
But the good news is, we're back up.
Yes, we're back.
144 goals in 34 games, average out 4.2 goals a game. And I've just remembered there was a game on Friday night this week, and I can't remember who it was, so I don't apologize if I've no spoke about it. 144 goals in 34 games, 4.2 goals a game. As always, if you're looking for value for money, get out and support your local West of Scotland League team, because I'm sure they will appreciate it. Until next Sunday at 7 o'clock. I'm off to watch the Super Bowl, and I've been Jonny Bailey. He's been PG. Take care of yourself.
And I'm off to watch the Traitors.
Cheers.
See you later.